A wonderful Tuesday night, at least here. It's a little bit wet. Hopefully it's doing a little bit better where you are. Welcome in, everybody. Yes, sunshines and rainbows. Battle Styles is the sleepiest set. I disagree and agree a little bit on that. There are some good cards in Battle Styles I think are getting forgotten, especially that Tyranitar, Sleepy Tyranitar, but still overall it's doing extremely well just without doing much with it. So overall, the set itself, not so strong, but I do think that there are some chances for the alternate arts. The Urshifu alternate arts, especially the Rapid Strike, very, very nice card. I think it's a little bit underrated personally, but that could be just me. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think that it's slightly underrated, or is it just right where it should be? Let me just make sure this is working because this is a new setup. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me for sure. But overall, thank you guys, everybody, for joining in. Greatly appreciated for everybody that's coming in tonight. So I got a new computer. I had to update my stuff a little bit. It got a little fried. So graphics card finally died with the old one. But today we're going to be talking about, is Pokemon investing always sunshine and rainbows, or sunshine and roses, as I put it. Basically, is there always a good thing that happens out of Pokemon investing? And this is kind of a continuation from what we discussed when it came down on Friday, when we talked about how Cool Train Ryan made the comment during the live with OKJ Love that, you know, Scarlet and Violet is very reminiscent of XY evolutions, or XY era of the Pokemon TCG. Now, that was always something that I've kind of compared it to as well. Not being there myself in XY, but looking at previous performance of that particular set was definitely something that I kind of had the same feeling in, that it just doesn't resonate with people as well as it should. And I think there's a couple reasons on why that could be. Today I'm going to kind of talk about that a little bit when it comes down to that. And when we're actually looking at overall what's going on with Scarlet and Violet, is it always going to be sunshine and rainbows through this particular set? We're used to it in Sword and Shield. We're used to it in those kind of situations of Sword and Shield always performing very well and always keeping the ball rolling and keeping people interested and keeping that investment something that people are really enjoying. And that is something that we're getting accustomed to. And is that going to continue? Are we going to remain accustomed to this? Or is there going to be a shift at some point and where we go back to years without any real movement in these particular sets? And that's always a worry when you're talking about investing into a hobby such as this, is that at any time someone could pull that pin and we could completely lose traction in these particular sets and lose traction in the Pokemon TCG, and you could actually start to slip back a little bit. So once again, I'm just going to do a quick go through the chat. Charlie Lee Ray, thank you so much for jumping in. Charles Lee Ray. iFOMO, as always, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for throwing up the merch. Of course, I am wearing one of them, and I know iFOMO got one too, so it's always great in Northwoods. That's right, guys. They got merch like that sitting in the store right now. If you guys, the link is here with iFOMO, but it is also down below. Gym Leader Pepe, thank you so much for jumping in as well. Greatly appreciated. And James from the Alamo City, good evening, my friend. Hopefully you're having a good evening and a good start to your week so far. So, anyways, going back into the discussion for tonight, and what I want to kind of cover a little bit more on that Cool Ranch Rank, because you guys had some very good comments. So if you haven't watched the video on Friday, make sure you go back and check that out. But there were some really good conversations that were going forward and really good things that were said when it comes down to the comparison between the two. And yes, it is very early to make that comparison. And if I was looking at just data versus data like I was doing, I would not make that call. The only reason that I give a little bit more validity to what Cool Trainer Ryan said at that point in time is the fact that he was through it. He actually was in the XY era when this was occurring. He was part of that particular point in Pokemon history. That's something I don't have. I wasn't there, and I'm always very clear about it. I was from 99 to 2006. I left in 2007. I never went into the Diamond and Pearl era. I never went into like the level X's and level cards. My last ones were Gold Stars. That was kind of my breaking point. I just stopped and I went on a different way in my life. Came back in 1999 or 2019. So 2019 I came back in Unbroken Bonds, kind of right before it, but Unbroken Bonds was really my first main set that I came in, and I started to build a overall battle deck and started to collect again, started getting back into the hobby with my son, and that's realistically where I started back. So overall, I'm missing, you know, a few eras in Pokemon there where I don't know overall how they performed. I can tell you from 99 and 2006, they performed fairly well as well. As collectors grew and things moved up, even the pricing of like Fossil and all that went up slightly. Now, I'm not talking about like doubling in price in that time frame, but I did sell base set unlimited boxes for around $200, $150 to $200, right at that range. Jungle, Fossil, all those $125 to $150 in 2006. So it went from buying them at like $40 because I was buying Jungle boxes at like $39.99. Same thing with Base Set Unlimited. Same thing with Rocket. All those boxes were very readily available right at just about any store that sold Pokemon that actually carried booster boxes. All had tons of them. They weren't very hard to find. So that's where those things, same thing like we do now. You used to wait for the dips and actually buy it unless you were playing. And then if you were trying to build battle decks and things like that, then even back then when we were building our decks for playing, then we would definitely go through and buy booster boxes trying to find it, or we would trade with each other. We would do whatever we needed to, go through your LCSs because they usually had a bunch of bulk cards and things like that, and we'd build our battle decks and playing decks that we were using at that point in time. So overall, historically in the Pokemon TCG, I know a lot of people like to talk about how great things are and how everything goes to the moon and everything continues to go up. You buy Seal and it goes up in value, and it does. I mean, it's hard to argue that fact because even in XY, it took a long time, but the value of those booster boxes did go up. And that's just something that we continue to see over and over and over again. And it's just really interesting to see how this is going to continue and if this ball is going to continue to roll in the Pokemon TCG. Are United States economies or world economies going to potentially cause some falter on that? That's always a potential as well. And there's always things that always take into consideration that, you know, maybe Scarlet and Violet won't be the best overall. Maybe it'll be the next Black and White. Maybe it'll just kind of sit there, fizzle, and slow down. Everybody's remaining back in Sun and Moon, and they're remaining in Sword and Shield. And maybe that's where we need to continue to stay. And there's only so much that you can do to get people interested in it. Do I think that overall it's a fantastic setup? Do we think that there's fantastic arts? Do we think that there's fantastic opportunities in Scarlet and Violet? Yes, I think that there are some very good ones. I think there's some great opportunities in these particular sets. And I think that there's really some good potential in these particular sets. But I think the problem is, though, is that you got to get more people on board. Now, there's a couple ways that we could have that happen. If you really want to promote these new sets and really push it, like I'm seeing Charlie Ray just sitting there down below watching, sitting there talking about PokeTubers spreading FOMO, and they can. I mean, that could be one way that we continue to see growth in the Pokemon hobby. Somehow a new content creator finds a way to make some hype and FOMO and push this forward. There's also the possibility that some set in this particular block of Pokemon will finally catch and get resonance with maybe some of the people that were really hot in Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon will finally get them. Maybe it is that rarity that for some reason Pokemon seems to still be holding out on. I don't know why we're not getting another rarity yet in Scarlet and Violet. If we did, I feel that it would really be a valuable change to the Pokemon hobby right now, because typically by now we're getting a new rarity inside of the set, a new chase, a new something. Equivocally in Sword and Shield, we were getting alternate art. So our Temporal Forces would have been the alternate art box. That would have been your Battle Styles time frame in the Pokemon TCG time frame in the era. Same thing going through a lot of them. I mean, this is when break cards showed up all the way back in XY. This is almost getting close to the time where we were going to be seeing tag teams showing up. So probably the end of this year, tag teams would have technically been coming into play as well in the Sun and Moon block. So it's really going to be a determination on whether or not we get some resonance in this particular hobby. And number one, it's going to be a lot to do with the actual Pokemon TCG. When are they going to create a new rarity? When are they going to create a set that's going to finally resonate? Pokemon 151 did a very good job in some ways of bringing people to that particular set. Pokemon 151 is really pulling everybody into that particular set, but they haven't gone out and they haven't exploded and, you know, moved in a different pattern out of that particular setup. They are still sitting right there at 151. I know people that they came in for 151. They have no interest in anything else but 151 in the Scarlet and Violet era. They came back even from not being in Pokemon just for 151, but they're not moving out of it. And we can't seem to get people to break out and move and flow out like we did with even going back to Sword and Shield. That's just not something that has occurred yet at this point in time. So it's going to be really interesting to see at what point in time, or if any point in time in the Scarlet and Violet era, we're going to get a rarity change here soon that'll bring more people in. We now have the holiday set that's just been announced, which is, what is it, Shrouded Fates, or Fade? Something like that just got announced, so we do have that coming up in the near future. So that's another factor. We are getting the now released right now Twilight Masquerade, which, you know, I've opened up some Twilight Masquerade on pre-release and things like that, seeing some of the sets being open, and I'm really not feeling that set as much. Temporal Forces is starting to grow on me a little bit more. I think Temporal Forces, as I'm seeing some people in the chat next to me here bringing up Temporal Forces. At first, Temporal Forces was a very weak set in my opinion, but overall, I think Temporal Forces is starting to hold strong when it comes down to the value of those particular cards. But once again, like we've talked about when it was released, it feels more reminiscent of a Sword and Shield set because it has a chase, right? That was something that we had been missing in Scarlet and Violet through the first 4 sets, is really that chase. We finally got somewhat of a chase in the Temporal Forces block because those 3 have over 1,000 pack pull rate on those particular cards. Some people say between 800 and up to 1,200 on those particular cards, which there you go. You have a chase. Once you get that chase going and you get that blood flowing for a chase, that might get some more people back into this, because to me, that personally has been something that's been missing from the Scarlet and Violet block also, is that chase. Charizard's super easy to pull for Obsidian Flame. 1 in 300 packs. I've pulled 2 myself. My son's pulled 1, the gold one. My son's pulled 1. I've pulled 1. My other son's pulled 2. I mean, we got piles of Charizards from that particular set. They were just extremely easy to pull. And that's not a good chase. That doesn't get that blood flowing when you actually pull a card that you've pulled several times. It's just not there. And that's a factor that's probably been sitting there as well when it comes down to the overall investability of Scarlet and Violet. So my real hopes are, and my really big, I'm really hoping that we're going to be seeing a chase, a new rarity, something that's going to continue to drive it a little bit more. Temporal Forces doing fairly well. We're seeing some really good things out of Temporal Forces. Twilight Masquerade, it's going to be really interesting to see how it rolls out. I mean, there are some decent waifu cards inside of there that we could have a chase on. Not any more than the other sets currently out there. But the other factor in that one is that you got that cool new playing dynamic when it comes down to the festival, the festival style playability to it. So you can play a specific stadium and actually build a festival where there's actually attacks that actually use that particular card and give them little boosts and also protections. There's ways to use that currently in the gameplay. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Number one, I think Twilight Masquerade is going to feel more like a player set than a chase set, personally. I'm not seeing anything that's a huge chase. The Eevee card, my son pulled that on pre-release, so we've already even got the Eevee card. So the Eevee card is in the set, which is fantastic. I will say I'm glad it's a chase, but it was a fairly easy chase on that one, even for myself, for our family right now. So we've already even got that one as well. So not hard to get. We'll see how that holds up, but it's a really fun chase for me. That's what I was after. But overall, it's not always sunshine and roses, guys. It's not always sunshine and rainbows when it comes down to the investability on it. Shrouded Fable, that's what it was. Thank you, James from Alamo. The Greninja promo looks really hot, and I think that's potentially going to be another driving factor. Is this holiday set does have some really good fan favorite arts built into it. And we're really anticipating the Dragon set coming up. James from the Alamo just put it up. We've got a Dragon set coming up here as well, so it's going to be really kind of fun. And I think not this one getting released in Japan, but the next one is going to be a Japanese or a Dragon set, if I'm looking at it correctly and what the news is coming down. So yeah, I mean, there's some really good potential growing, and there's really some good things that could potentially be happening here in the near future in Pokemon. It's just a matter of, can Pokemon start getting Scarlet and Violet to catch? We need to get Scarlet and Violet to catch. because we're going to start pricing people out of the Sword and Shield block. Yeah, Silver Tempest is still available. Well, at least last time I checked. I haven't looked in the last few days. I've been busy. But Silver Tempest was still available at that 144. You could still get it for around 140 on eBay and places like that. So there's still that opportunity there as well for Silver Tempest. But once Silver Tempest sells out, realistically, some people might be getting priced out of the Sword and Shield block, especially as the prices continue to increase, as the chase cards go up in price, as the alternate arts continue to grow, and as these things continue to move forward. Thank you, PokeChef954, just popping in and showing some love. I'll run this back ASAP. Thank you so much, PokeChef. Greatly appreciate it. And PokeChef is going to be joining us for Choose Your Path coming up in June. So thank you so much for that as well, PokeChef, as we're going to be doing that in June. Greatly appreciated. Exactly. Thank you, PokeChef. Going back to my thoughts, though, overall, we need something that's going to do. We got to get something that's going to start moving something in the Scarlet and Violet era, or this may become a dead era in the Pokemon TCG. I know Pokemon's going to do something. It's just a matter of what and when, and if it's going to have enough push to go forward. And once again, people getting priced out of Sun and Moon. Now they're going back to Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield's going up in price. My hope is that we're going to see it go into Scarlet and Violet and start chasing in those particular cards. But my fear is that we're going to get to a point where Sword and Shield is going to get to a point, and they're going to go back to Sun and Moon. And they might just keep bopping between those two, because people do love the tag team cards. Tag team cards are very popular. As these alternate arts and Sword and Shield start to catch the prices of the tag team art, they may pop back and go back for the tag teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how far we have to go up, where people are finally priced out and go, all right, fine, I'm in. I'm going to go after some of these SIRs. I'm going to start going after some of these things, and definitely start chasing some of these particular cards that'll do well in the future on these particular sets too. There's a lot of great artwork. There's a lot of great artwork in the Scarlet and Violet block currently. I think that it's really underrated still for some of the SIRs, especially. That Gardevoir card, to me, the price just doesn't do justice for it. It's a beautiful card, both of them. I mean, you look at the Shining Fates version or the Scarlet and Violet base set version, both of them, to me, very, very underrated in general for their artwork. And I love the Scarlet and Violet with the storytelling from the routes to Kira to the Gardevoir. Watching that growth in the hobby, and watching that growth on the cards between the evolutions and the trainer that's they're with. Definitely something that I think is really underrated currently in the Pokemon TCG. But I really do hope that we do see some movement in the Scarlet and Violet when it comes down to that Pokemon investment side, and we start seeing people buying the booster boxes or opening more booster boxes. Definitely surging towards that. Even me on TikTok, a majority of my openings right now are still back in the Sword and Shield block. Selling Scarlet and Violet has a limit. It does really well the first couple weeks of any new set release, just like anything. Everybody's on a chase. Everybody's looking for specific cards. We're seeing that really great boom right at the beginning of that, where we're seeing product go out the door, and you can sell ETBs, booster boxes, you can sell singles, you can do pack rips and all that other stuff and have very, very good success. But then shortly after that, it fizzles and then it dies until the next set. So now, like for example, Twilight Masquerade is now getting a boom because we're seeing people continually pushing this through and pushing, wanting the cards, wanting to get things going. I will have my allocation here on Wednesday, so then I can start pushing that as well. So we'll be pushing into that feed, and that's a short-term feed though. It doesn't last more than 2-3 weeks past the release date of these particular card or these particular sets, which compared to Sword and Shield used to last until the next set came out, which is a big change that we're now seeing is that next set used to come out and you could capitalize through that whole run, and it would still continue if there was a good chase inside of it. So the Tina, when Silver Tempest came out, the Tina kept running through, so Lost Origins and Silver Tempest both went, and we had a double boom at that point in time where cards were really flying off the shelf. So these are things we just don't see currently in the Scarlet and Violet block, at least not myself. I haven't seen it on my sales side. I still see it in the Sword and Shield, people wanting to open up Sword and Shield sets. Brilliant Stars, very hot set to pull right now, really, really starting to gain traction again. People are chasing that Charizard V now that things are sold out, and now that things are really starting to change on that, fact that it's sold out on the Pokemon Center. So alternate arts going up in price. As they go up in price, the chase begins again, and people are starting to open Brilliant Stars in the hopes of pulling that Charizard V. Same thing, Lost Origins, very hot set. It disappears off as soon as I get a new booster box in here. It doesn't take very long for it to go away. Astral Radiance, extremely slow. Silver Tempest, not so much. Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike has a huge demand right now. I can't keep Fusion Strike in the slots right now, and it's gone. If I get in even pull it out of products or pull it out of anywhere, even put in a booster box, it's usually gone in a night and a half. It's gone. I don't keep 36 packs very long. So overall, they do fly through certain specific sets in the Sword and Shield block. Once again, Sword and Shield is very hot. Chilling Rain have a big demand for people asking for Chilling Rain. It's really interesting. Even at the price, they have no problem buying those particular packs, and they just continue to love opening them. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get to that point where we have a Scarlet and Violet set that actually keeps its traction and keeps its demand for opening packs past the first 2 or 3 weeks. That's something I've seen now with every single one of the Scarlet and Violet sets is that I usually restock the first couple weeks, and if I don't get it by week 3, I end up sitting on products. So, for example, Paradox Rift. I've got booster boxes of Paradox Rift because I ordered them and they got held up. They didn't ship on time, and they got here about 4 or 5 weeks after Paradox Rift released, and no interest. It just died. Then nobody's interested in Paradox Rift. They were all revving up for Shiny or Paldean Fates. So they were all revving up for Paldean Fates, and they already forgot about Paradox Rift. Paldean Fates. Everybody's opening Paldean Fates as fast as I could get it out there. Once Paldean Fates got to be about 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old, it died. Then we waited until Temporal Forces. We had 3 weeks of Temporal Forces. Temporal Forces was the first set where I didn't order, where I wasn't going to get anything in the first 3 weeks. And I don't have anybody coming on my streams going, hey, do you have Temporal Forces? Where's it at? Nobody does that. It just doesn't occur any longer. So, yeah, we need to get something going. We got Pokemon Center's got to come up. Pokemon International's got to come up with something to really drive this market. And I'm not just saying that for investing type. I'm also saying this for Pokemon business and Pokemon market in general. In order to see success and see growth in this hobby, we want to see continued growth in the Pokemon space. They have to get something that's going to continue to drive and keep this thing moving, and they haven't done it yet. My thing is that they're going to end up bringing back Ash and Pikachu and starting to bring out some cards with Ash and Pikachu or Red and Pikachu. Maybe we bring back some Red and Pikachu cards that we could really get into and really get excited about and really enjoy when it comes down to the hobby itself. So, all right. Well, that's what I have to talk about. So basically what I want to talk about is that it seems like right now everything is just sunshine and rainbows. Everything's doing really well. We're seeing overall good growth currently with a lot of the sets in the Pokemon hobby. But I think that there is a persona right now in the Scarlet and Violet block that we need to get something. So there is a potential for a Dark Cloud in the future, something to be considering. And even myself, the more and more I've been doing, I mean, I bought my normal for, the Scarlet and Violet, my 1 or 2 cases of booster boxes, nothing crazy. I haven't gone completely crazy in that particular set, in that particular era. I'm still doing a lot in the Sword and Shield era, whether it's buying Silver Tempest right now and dropping $1,000 trying to continue to bring that in to try and get a good foothold on that particular set, or going back and trying to find auctions and deals and in different locations for those alternate arts that are on for sale in good locations that you can still sneak some really good pricing on them. So overall, even myself, I'm finding myself very hesitant to just go jump into the Scarlet and Violet block and start buying a bunch of stuff, because to me, there's a potential that could be dead money for 5-6 years. And if it's going to be dead money for 5 to 6 years, I might as well keep it in my personal account and be able to have the opportunities to buy something when I can find a deal that's really that I really want to do, rather than having something that has no value on the shelf to myself. When I sell it, I'm not getting that value. I might as well just keep it in my account and go somewhere else. Might as well go to Sword and Shield because Sword and Shield's moving. I could go buy trainer galleries right now, some of these lower end trainer galleries, and they're still going up in value. I could see that 20 to 30% gain by the end of the year on those particular cards. I'm not seeing that in Scarlet and Violet at this point in time. So, moving on, when we're going on Pokemon investing, that's what I had to talk about. Like I said hi to Charles Lee Ray. Battle Styles is the sleepiest set, he said right at the beginning. I think the sleepiest T-Tar in the business, I think, is in that set. I think overall, it's a very, very lackluster set. It doesn't have a lot of fan favorite Pokemon in there except for the T-Tar. Empoleon, of course, you got the starter feel on that one. So we do have a couple Pokemon that people enjoy, but the Urshifu's really have to get popular in order for battle styles to do extremely well. There is tons of battle styles. There isn't a LCS right now that I know of that doesn't, in my area, that doesn't have battle styles still sitting on the shelf. So it just has no driver that groove of where people want to get into it. Coming back down, iFomo, thanks for the popcorn. Son of a Merc, what is the new evolution sorcery you speak of, LOL? So there's a video that dropped. I shared it I pinned it in the last live. If you go watch it, it's on TikTok. That's the one I just pulled up just because I'm on TikTok all the time. But Japanese or Pokemon Japan released a EV video kind of hinting towards the fact that there's a new evolution, and it's been speculated for a little bit that it was, but then Pokemon dropped that video. You watch the video, it says what will EV evolve into, and then it shows all 8 of the evolutions and Eevee running in the center. And then the other part that they do in the video that they kind of put is, if you go to the video and you go down below, sometimes you can preload, like Instagram, that you can preload like comments, and it says one of the comments that are preloaded in there, "I'm excited for a new evolution," with an exclamation. So they set it up very nicely where it looks like there's a new evolution. Now there's no guarantee. I'm not saying that they're not just trolling us with that video, but that video really did make it feel like there was a potential for that to occur. So it'd be really interesting. Let's see. James from Elmo City. Yep, through there. Okay, Charles Lee Ray. I don't like the singles doubled in price. Yeah, I mean, if you were sitting on them and you didn't take advantage of it, then yeah, it's not a good time. Not a good time for you. I mean, we kind of felt that they were really underpriced overall, but people left to tag teams, and trainer galleries and alternate arts kind of slipped a little bit. And even myself, I mean, we've been talking about it since December about purchasing these as they continue to go down, because there's really good opportunity to purchase into those alternate arts. I mean, that Charizard V was almost down to $100 at one point, which is a fantastic pickup in my opinion for any Charizard card with that kind of rarity or drive behind it. And we did see it come back up. All of them are moving in that upward direction really fast. Remember when Crown Zenith was cheap? Yeah. Son of a Merc, I tried to tell everyone I could. You did your best, man. That's all that we can do. Let's see. Son of a Merc, Temple Forest is holding strong so far. They've settled down. They did their normal drop, and they've kind of settled, and a lot of them moved up. I think that pull rate on those 3 cards has been a really big help for Temple Forces. People still are chasing those particular. The Raging Bolt, Iron Leaves, and what was the other one? There's one other one. Yeah, they're on the chase for them 3 pretty hard just because the pull rates are so difficult on those. Charles Lee, Temple Force is my favorite set. Garen, thank you so much for dropping in. Glad to see you. Pika, thank you so much for dropping in as well. Glad to see you tonight. Let's see. Son of a Merc, mine is as well, Charlie. 4K Traveler, sir, thank you so much for dropping in. Do average people buy booster box cases of each set when it comes out? No. I would say that a majority of people buy a booster box. Some of us that have been in here a little bit longer, like myself, I'll go for a case just because that's just what I do. And I have the backing to do it. But I think in general, I think most people you would find in the Pokemon TCG buy a case at a time, or not a case, but a booster box at a time. That's what I suggest for, unless you're comfortable in the hobby and you've got a lot of expendable money, you have that opportunity to spend that kind of money. I really do suggest staying small scale until you understand, especially if you're newer in the markets and you don't understand all this stuff. Buy small. Go small and kind of build up into it. When I started out, it was 2 booster boxes, and then it became 4 booster boxes, and then it became, a case, and then as it kept rolling up, it just became more and more, just because I started to sell some of the older stuff, and I'm constantly rotating, so I'll typically buy, if I want to keep 2, I'll buy 4, I'll sell 2, and then keep 2 back to try and minimize that holdings. I mean, I'm always doing different things in the hobby to try and do that. Now I sell on TikTok, so I buy 4 and I want to keep 2, I'll sell 2 on TikTok, and then I'll just keep rolling that stock, where basically I'm zeroing out my account every single time. I'm not letting my account go negative, I'm not losing money, but I'm always coming back to my original amount, which is about, I always try and keep about $10,000 to $12,000 in my Pokemon account, just for in case I find something I really want to buy. So like Gold Star Flareon shows up, I can just go buy it. I'll go do it and I'm done. You know, those kind of things. I want to always keep that emergency stash and availability, but I'm always circulating money. Sometimes it'll go down to 7, and then I'll sell and I'll rebuild, and then it's constantly. Sometimes it'll go really high, and then I buy some things, and then, you know, that's just typically where I try to sit for my expendable or liquid capital. But everybody's different 4K. Everybody's going to be different in how they run their operation, how they do these things. Just keep that in mind, that what works for me won't work for you. What works for you won't work for Bob. What works for Bob won't work for Jim. It's all going to come down to a little bit of finesse, a little bit of understanding on how you're going to do things, and just staying to some kind of base, something that you feel comfortable with that works, and just stay to it. If you venture away from it, always remember those bases so you can get back to them, you know, if things shift in the market. I'm starting to like Obsidian Flame and Paldean Fates as holding strong. Obsidian Flame scares me because I could see a reprint coming of that. Same thing with Paldean Fates. That Charizard EX deck is very strong. Obsidian Flames has the good thing and the bad thing of the Pidgeot being inside of there. The Pidgeot deck is becoming a very big control deck, and I think it's definitely something that is interesting to continue to watch and see how well this continues to move forward with Obsidian Flame. Would it get a reprint? I absolutely think so. Will Paldean Fates get a reprint? I probably would really highly assume so. So neither one of them for, you know, I think you got time. You can wait them out a little bit on those two sets. I think you're going to have good opportunities to buy those in the future. I'm having a hard time with all Scarlet and Violet right now. I mean, you could sit there and jump on it a little bit later and get back into it. Son of Merc Obsidian has my heart because of the Ninetales. Ninetales, beautiful artwork. I love that Illustrator rare. James from Alamo City, thought of the upcoming set Shrouded Fable special. Like I said, Greninja looks fantastic. Overall, the small things I've seen, once again, I didn't deep dive into the set, so I'm really excited to see how that one turns out. There's the Greninja promo looks fantastic. It's going to be kind of cool to see what kind of artwork comes out in that particular set as well. For me, the Cleffa, Charles, I'm glad I got time to breathe till set 7. Yeah, you get a little bit of a break. Ninetales is a pretty card, though. Jason, thank you so much for dropping in tonight. What do you personally gravitate towards for sealed box? Not what is tickled your brain from any influence, but what is your real draw to as a set, as an investment? 6-pack bundles. I know some people get back and forth on the 6-pack bundles. I think the 6-pack bundles are a fantastic investment, especially the holiday sets, personally. Booster boxes are definitely my second draw to. I really don't have interest in ETBs anymore, especially since Scarlet or Sword and Shield. They print those so heavy. It doesn't feel good to me to be buying them and sitting on them forever. Do I think they'll have value at some point? Yes. I just think that the sealed boxes and the 6-pack bundles, especially the late era Sword and Shield, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, they didn't do an Astral Radiance. Now I see there's some like Astral Radiance 3-pack bundles, but if you go to the original ones that had the 6-pack bundles, I think that those ones are going to have some really good value futuristically. Plus, they're easier to sell. I mean, even if the prices of everything kind of shifts up, people have more money to buy booster bundles than they do booster boxes. Even like I said, Evolving Skies at $700. Would you be wanting to pay $700 to say I have Evolving Skies, or would you be more likely to pay $120 for a 6-pack bundle, or $150, $60 for a 6-pack bundle? Something a little bit more reasonable when the booster box prices go up. There's a chance for more sales at that point. Jason, or one you know will do great, you believe will do great. 6-pack, like I said, 6-pack bundles to me have always been my thing lately since they came out. I absolutely do love them. Let's see, where am I at? Okay. Devin, thanks for joining tonight. What's up? Just got back from Japan. Found a ton of deals at local card shops and picked up 4 boxes of 151 10 days in a row. Very nice. Yeah, the reprint over there on the 14th has really been something, but we didn't see the prices. They're still sitting about 80. The lowest prices I can find right now are $79.99 right now on 151 booster boxes. Maybe someone's got something cheaper. I haven't spent a ton of time looking because I already got my stash that I wanted, but it seems like 80 after the reprint. It seems like pre-reprint, everybody was dumping on stock and down to 68, 75 for it, and now we're back up to 80, and it kind of stalled right there. So it'll be interesting to see. We're still kind of early because right about now, people would be getting their restock in, so that could still change. So I'd be watching that market a little bit yet. Charles Ray, I agree. iFOMO. Son of a Merc, if those Greninja and Gambit promos are from the Japanese high class set, then the set is going to be a banger. Yeah, the high class set's really going to be a banger if that's the case. 4K, after spending $10,000 on 151, I'm starting to spread out now. There you go. So, at least you're spreading out. Like I said, I know a lot of people did not. They came in for 151, they've been here for 151, and they don't leave 151. So, I'm glad to see some. I'm sure some people are going to spread out. I mean, not everybody's going to stay in that spot, but some people will come in and shop around and check it out from there. But it just seems like a majority of the people that I talked to were coming in for 151. They may not have even joined in Sword and Shield or Sun and Moon. They just all of a sudden, oh, 151 sounds awesome. They're here for that set. It's like they pick that and they're sitting. Devin from Tokyo. Oh, from Tokyo Pokemon Center. Crown Zenith is on the up and up. The singles are on the rise, especially the gold cards. Gold cards and black bordered. The black bordered V and VMAX's cards are all going up in price right now. James from Alamo City. I am anticipating the Dragon set will be released after our special set at the start. Yeah, it's either that or the next one after it. Just going through. Son of a Merc, Brilliant Stars needs to move up a little bit. Yeah, it kind of stalled a little bit sooner than I thought it would. I thought it would do a little bit better, but it just hasn't really pulled ahead like I thought it would after it got pulled out or got pulled off of Pokemon Center. Jason, you mentioned the Pokemon Company needing to do something. Are you thinking the push of their latest game they made to drive the desire and deception to be part of the culture? See, the problem is that there's 2 different cultures. Really, Pokemon has 3 different cultures that you always have to consider. They have the anime culture, they have the game culture, the actual console game, and then they have the TCG culture. And sometimes they don't mix. Just because there's a fantastic game in the Pokemon TCG doesn't mean that it's going to draw in people from the console games. And a fantastic console game is not necessarily going to drive people into the Pokemon TCG or into the anime. It's weird that they bubble off and there's not much intermingling. As weird as that is, I mean, granted, I play TCG and I still play emulators and I'm still playing Pokemon on emulators, and my son really doesn't have interest in his Nintendo Switch. He really doesn't play Leaving Legends Arceus. He lost interest in it a lot faster and just went back to playing TCG and collecting cards. So even him being 9 years old, I thought we bought a Switch last Christmas, 2 Christmases ago, and when Legends Arceus came out, and when I bought Legends Arceus, he started playing it, and he played it I probably played it more than he did. And it didn't last very long, which was a very interesting thing. That it just kind of seems like you pick an interest in one and you kind of stay with it. That's just my feeling on it, and I might be completely wrong, but it's just weird. It just seems like that anyways. What do you mean? What do you think about One Piece, sir? I think One Piece is going to be interesting to see how it holds up. So far, it's doing really well. Bandai always scares me. I've said that when I did my One Piece video. Bandai is always the wild card when it comes down to their success. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I got Dragon Ball Z packs behind me over here, right there on my shoulder, and some sets they do really well. They do a God Rare in it, so they've got the Awakening Pulse has a God Rare in it. There's a $1,000 Goku card right now that you're chasing in that Sun Goku card that you're chasing in there. But on the other hand, they got the Blazing Aurora, which will be released here, the newest set. They don't have that God Rare, so then the set doesn't do as well. So it's kind of interesting how Bandai runs things. Currently, there's a big desire, a big fad, and a big push for One Piece. It's just the same thing. How long can that ball keep rolling before we see a slowdown of it? And once you see a slowdown, can it continue to push through that slowdown, or is that slowdown going to kill it? That's always the bigger factor when it comes down to new TCGs, is always considering new TCGs are always hot when they first come out. Realistically, you need to wait 2 to 3 years to see how they're going to perform and if they're going to last. They'll see some slowdown, some people lose interest. You'll get 2 years of really good gameplay. MetaZoo did the same thing. We had 2 years of really good growth and really good things happening with MetaZoo even. And before it died, I mean, they sucked as a company, making sure that they hit due dates and keeping the stuff going. But it's just kind of interesting. It's going to be kind of interesting to see if One Piece can hit that blockade where they finally start to have people lose interest and start dropping off, if they can find a way to push through that. And that's really going to be the make or break moment when it comes down to One Piece. So I'm sure some other people would have some completely disagreements that it's always good, and same thing, it's always sunny on the other side of the fence and you're going to push forever. But every TCG, every company, everything that you do has a stagnation point where they hit a block, they hit a slowdown point, and it's the matter of whether or not they can push through that part and continue to get through it and find a way to get through it to keep the TCG going or the business going, or they eventually just fall out of favor and they start panicking and doing things they're not supposed to, and it can cause issues as well. Son of a Merc, do you think these might be the chances everyone's looking past? Like, they're waiting until the last minute until it moves, just like they're doing now. It could be. I mean, I could definitely see that. Overall, I could see a lot of people, even myself, I'm watching it. I'm not biting on it. I'm not jumping into it. And like you're saying right now, it could take one person to finally jump in on some of these things and just finally push it and just go. And it's going to be, it's interesting. I think that there's a lot more. The consumers are becoming smarter. And I will say that in the Pokemon hobby, hype and FOMO still happens. Don't get me wrong, hype and FOMO still occurs, but it doesn't occur to the extent it did in Sword and Shield. And the more veteran people especially are just sitting back and watching and waiting, and they're more like they're biding their time, waiting for, it's a game of chess now. Instead of you just diving in, trying to win in whenever you get in, they're actually taking the time to plot, find, search, wait, and they're seeing like someone else, waiting for someone else to make the move before they dive in head first. So yeah, it definitely could be a factor we're seeing, Son of a Merc. James from the Alamo City, PR versus TF, which would win? For me, I like Paradox Rift better personally. I know some people like, Temporal Forces. I personally like Paradox Rift better. That's just my personal feeling, my personal set. I enjoy Paradox Rift. I think it's a really fun set. Really good artwork too. I like the Roaring Moon. I do like the Iron Valiant. I think they're really good spin-offs from their originals. Only Prez. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. Howdy, howdy. Hope everyone's having a good day. I hope so too. Having a great day. Just a little bit wet today. Been raining. We got about 1.5 inches of rain, so it's been coming down pretty heavy outside. John Michael, thank you so much for jumping in. They should bring back Gen 2 Pokemon and have an alternate arts for them. I agree. I think that they've missed a lot of Gen 2 Pokemon opportunities. That's another decent sized group of people that are sitting out there that do enjoy the Pokemon TCG. I mean, they did bring back Gen 2 when they did the Hazui and Typhlosion and all that, but they only did the Typhlosion. They didn't really bring back the other 2 starters, which are big factors. And I'd love to just see them bring back them into some alternate arts, or like now some SIRs, some Illustrator Rares. Really start working that Gen 2 Pokemon sets that just have not been brought up yet. Let's see. Kind of shot down. There we go. Son of a Merc. The most I'm willing to buy into heavy is the Temporal Forces and Paldean Fates, skipping Twilight and probably Shrouded except for the Greninja boxes. Yeah, I bought into the most in the Paradox Rift and Paldea Evolved. I think Paldea Evolved is a really slept on set too. There's some fantastic alternate arts. There are secret Illustrator Rares and Illustrator Rares in that set too. There's still a pretty heavy amount of it out there as well. So I'm fingers crossed for an investment side. And I know some people in like Mason, I see Mason. Hey Mason, thank you so much for stopping in tonight. I really hope that it doesn't get a reprint. Personally, I think that it's got enough stock out there. I don't know if it will, but we'll see this holiday season. We'll probably know here in the next couple months if we're going to be seeing reprints of Obsidian Flame, Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces will probably be announced too this fall. You'll be looking at all these sets potentially coming up. Base set would be the one that I would be very surprised if they did do a reprint on, but I think Paldean Fates, Paldea Evolved, all of which might be on the docket for reprint here this fall, coming into the holiday season. Like typically, we'll see some heavy reprints coming forward. I'll pick up the singles for the rest of them. I FOMO question. The next game after ZA should be Johto themed game, right? They trolled us so hard with the I know, right? They need to do just a regular Johto type game. Go back to the old school, man. I would love that game. If they ever put that on the Nintendo Switch, I would be all over it. Mason Berry, can't get Temporal Forces from my distro. Who's your distro, Mason? I never know which one that you have for sure, if you're still in the chat. Because now I'm just looking up real quick to see if I can get it real quick while I'm sitting here. Let's see if I can get them from my distro. I'm not 100%. Apparently I can't type. Alright, here we go. So here, Pokemon. Let's go to Pokemon. So there's a can get Paradox Rift still. Temporal Forces. The only thing I can get from Temporal Forces are the sleeved booster case. So I can get sleeve booster cases. I can get ETBs. But there are no... no Temporal Forces on my side either. So, and that's Southern Hobby. So Southern Hobby doesn't have any of them in there as well. 80. So not good there. We don't have them either. So that even puts me more on the track that we might be seeing a reprint. Yeah. Yeah, reprints are very rare or very real, especially with how fast that sold out. Pidgeot EX is cancer. It's not for us players, Mason. Come on now. That quick search is awesome. So Pidgeot EX is a very, very popular card. It's in both of my decks because when you get it built, you get what they call quick search, which means you can search your deck for any card and pull it out and put it in your hand. And you can only do one Pidgeot per, or one ability per turn from any of them. But yeah, it's a very big control deck because I can control what cards are coming in my hand. So basically, you build a Pidgeot while you're building your other Pokemon, and you just it's showing up in all the different hands. I FOMO. I need those easy PSA 10 reprints. Yeah. 4K travel. Do you think Paldea Evolved Magikarp will be worth more than the Moonbreon? No. No, I don't think that it'll surpass the Moonbreon in any way, shape, or form. Maybe in the 10 form, just because the fact that 10 is very hard to get from what I can tell. But raw, I don't think it stands a chance against the Moonbreon. The Moonbreon's downside when it comes down to its value is going to be the number of them that are out there compared to potentially the number of Magikarps that could be out there. But taking into consideration Paldea Evolved could always get a reprint, and they may increase the quality of that print, which then will wash the price of that PSA 10 as well. So there's a lot of variables when it comes down to Paldea Evolved at this point in time and how well that's going to all lay out. But my feelings are is that it might on the PSA 10 just because it's difficult to get a PSA 10 on that Magikarp. Raw value, not a chance. It won't surpass the Moonbreon. But I also do think that the Moonbreon's popularity might be a factor as well. Plus reprint factor on Paldea Evolved. I mean, there's a million different switches you could pull there to change the direction of that one. So Tricks and Chaos, thank you so much for dropping in. Glad to see you here tonight. When is the last time we have seen an English reprint? Looks to me like just new set after new set, no going back. We just had the reprint last year, going into the holiday season of Silver Tempest, the Silver Tempest, Lost Origins, Astral Radiance ETBs. So we did have an English reprint at the end of last year. We did get the Pokemon 151 reprint as well. We got more ETBs. We got more 6-pack bundles out of that. So we do get them. The holiday season coming up here will tell us whether or not the first year of Scarlet and Violet will get reprints. That's really where we're going to see it at this point in time. Scarlet and Violet's been really slow, but now playability is way up on it. So people are shifting into it, especially after rotation. Mew deck went away. That really changed that. The Lugia deck got hampered a little bit. Not a lot, but I mean, it did take a little bit of a hit on its playability because of the loss of some of the cards. So, yeah, I mean, we will see reprints of the English. We did see it last Christmas season, holiday season. We'll be seeing it probably again at this holiday season. Typically, Pokemon likes to reprint heavy right before the holidays. So, usually before Black Friday, we'll be seeing some real things roll out when it comes down to reprints. We'll probably be seeing some announcements. Typically August, September, we'll start getting announcements for those particular English sets that will be getting reprints. That's where they get you, Tricks. Son of a Merc, then distribution needs it because stores need it. So Big Daddy Pokemon gives in. Exactly. So Temporal Forces, to me, if they're out. So I'm just looking right now. So on the website here, I can get Paradox Rift is still in stock. I can get booster boxes. Scarlet and Violet base set is in stock. Paldea Evolved I can still get. That's still in stock, along with the ETBs. Obsidian Flame ETBs, but they do not have booster boxes, surprisingly. So Obsidian Flame booster boxes are gone. I don't see them on the site. Just checking and seeing what else I got here. Yeah, I mean, that's realistically what we're looking at on those. So numbers are down quite a bit. Actually, some of the Scarlet and Violet stuff is starting to disappear. And if it's starting to disappear off of the distribution websites, then that's definitely going to be a factor for a reprint, especially for the playable sets like Obsidian Flame. Paradox Rift has got some playability to it with the Roaring Moon deck, and then of course Temporal Forces got playability to it as well. So definitely going to be a drive for those ones. Devin, they are about $38 booster boxes from the Pokemon Center. Yeah, they're a lot cheaper in Japan. Patrick Ward, do you think... Oh, thanks for joining, Patrick, as well. Do you think this hobby will be here in 10 to 20 years? I bought some sealed and have no intention of opening. Do you think it's a good to hold off for 20 years? I think it'll be here for 10 for sure. I'm willing to bet we've probably got a 20-year security on it. Not going to guarantee 20 years, though. It's really going to depend on what Pokemon does. I mean, we've seen Magic screw things up. We've seen other companies screw things up to where they had really fantastic TCGs and it could go down by some simple mistakes by the actual company itself, just making bad decisions, bad moves when it comes down to their players and to their communities, and that can really be factors. But if Pokemon keeps trucking the way they're doing right now and continues to do business as normal like they're doing right now, I can definitely see it being here easily 10, 15, even 20 years. We've got another generation, in my opinion, hooked in a way. So like my son's age, that 8 to 14-year-old range is hooked in now because of what happened in the Sword and Shield block. Bringing all those people in with all that stuff happening, they're really hooked in, which is great. That means that you got another generation hooked in, and keeping them here now is going to be the harder part, and making sure that they continue to stay in the hobby is going to be the bigger factor when it comes down to that. And hopefully we can continue to see it and continue to grab the next generation and continue to grab on and continue to move forward. If we can get my son's generation, his kids, to grab on, you'd get another generation of people. So then you get a little bit more time. Every time you grab another generation, you grab more time. But you got to remember that any collectible, any hobby, any TCG is only as good as the next generation. It's only as strong as the next generation coming in. We don't get another generation seeded in here to where they enjoy this hobby and want to stay or don't come back. The hobby dies. We're the end. When we age out and we're done, then the game's done. iPhone emulators have the Game Shark included. Yep. Yeah, I have an emulator myself, and I really, really do love it. Hey, Grim the Nerd, thank you so much for dropping in. We're an hour early. I do apologize, but it looks like we're going to be going into 8 o'clock, so I kind of like the 8 o'clock anyways. It works a little bit better for me, so I can get some editing done after this is finished. After the live, I sit down, I do my editing, I get ready for that. Gotta get ready for Friday's video. iFOMO, isn't the spacebar a convenient feature? Yeah. Not so much. Mine, on my phone, it really isn't. I always hit the buttons around it because my fingers are so big. Pokey Sleep Deals just came back into the hobby where should I spend my first $1,000 currently? Ooh. $1,000 currently. Well, that's kind of a tough call because there are so many different things shifting right now. Let me open up TCG Player. So there's a lot of things occurring right now when it comes down to the hobby in general. Temporal Forces, or not Temporal Force. Now you got me on Temporal Forces. Silver Tempest is right now my target. Just because of the fact that it was still available on Pokemon Center. Before I keep saying that, let me check and see. Does anybody know Temporal Forces still up on Pokemon Center? Or Silver Tempest? I keep saying Temporal Forces. I do apologize. Silver Tempest. Let's see. Is that still available on Pokemon Center? Yeah, it's still up. So it's still up on Pokemon Center currently, so you can still get it there. It's now above TCG or Pokemon Center pricing on TCG Player. It's about $161 right now. I do know you can still snipe them on eBay. I did the other night. I sniped a case at around $135, $138 with shipping and everything. So there are opportunities still, but realistically, I'm still on Sword and Shield. Been really working that grounds, trying to get all the advantages I can from those particular sets. Silver Tempest right now is what I've been working on. Brilliant Stars. Where are we at on Brilliant Stars? I'm just curious to know. Booster boxes. Yeah, booster boxes. They're still shooting up. They're still going up pretty nicely over the last couple weeks, but definitely not as exciting or as extravagant as we were thinking comparatively to Fusion Strike even. So even Lost Origins. Lost Origin's done better. That's catching up to Lost Origins now $225 right now. So the next one for sale is $220. So we're about $220, about $30 down comparatively to Brilliant Stars. So Brilliant Stars down a little bit. Lost Origins going up. Brilliant Stars kind of stagnated, but Lost Origins is stagnated for a little bit and now is going back up as well. So overall, Silver Tempest is where I am kind of going myself. That's just personally me. Also, there's a lot of alternate arts, trainer gallery cards, things like that too. Really, really good investments right now. They're all going up really well. You can still get in on the way up, so there's some good opportunities. Just be cautious of the downturn on them, because these straight up pricing and these straight up moves get kind of worrisome, because typically that means we'll see a correction at some point. It's just a matter of at what point, at what we need to be looking at. 4K Travel Tours. Where do you get your booster box cases? So I get them from a distributor. Just to be honest, I used to buy them. So I used to buy them from my LCS. My LCS used to just sell them to me at cost. I've kind of let that go because I did get access to a distributor myself. So rather than him not being able to give me some of allocations, he gets it all now. He buys what he wants, and I buy my own. But before, I had gotten in with an LCS, worked with them when we got the boom, got a ton of product back in late 2021. I bailed them out and purchased a bunch of it to give them some cash flow back. So that's where I got like a bunch of Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, a lot of that at cost. He just sold it to me to get that cash back into a system, and we ran almost 2 years where I was buying cases from him every single release, all the way through Scarlet and Violet, Paldea Evolved, and Obsidian Flame. I got my cases through an LCS that I had helped and worked with and kept a good relationship. I still have a good relationship with them. It's just I told him that he was looking to, so basically he was using his money to do that on the start, and I just said, it's fine, we've worked out the deal, I mean, we're fine, and now he just takes all of his allocation, he doesn't give me the 2 cases, which is fine, I mean, he needs to make his money, and I'm not going to be the one to stand in his way, so that's basically what I did, is I worked in with the LCS, I had cash, I helped them out when they needed it, it ended up making a relationship. I had been going there for a couple years prior, before COVID. That's where I used to play, pre-release and play battle, or do my tournaments and all that through them. I've always been at that LCS for a long period of time. It's just, you build those relationships and you kind of build off of that. I bought booster boxes, I'd bought more off them prior, and it just turned into that relationship. But I've also bought off of eBay. You can go to Poke Center, or Poke World 2.0 out on Facebook is a great location. There's some really good references for people on that site. I've bought cases off of there too when people are trying to move things. They have some really good pricing on cases. So I've done that as well, 4K. So there's definitely some really good different locations to be able to look at. Definitely really good places such as Poke World 2.0. Also, Craigslist. I've had really good luck on Craigslist. Just if you're willing to travel and go pick it up, definitely some good ways just to examine the case. Make sure you just check out the side of the case for the tampering of them, and I've had really good luck. Let's see. Did I miss one? Oh, he asked if you can link the emulator. Okay. Devin, iPhone can link that. I think I got one too. I could maybe link it down below as well. It's on my cell phone, so it's just the cell phone emulator that I got. And then you go on and you download the games you want to emulate on it. So I just download the ones I'm looking for. Let's see. Grim the Nerd, thank you so much for joining in. iFOMO, I beat Sky Pillar Rayquaza Tower in Emerald using the Mach Bite Holy Space Bar. Yeah, that's one way to do it. Boy, I forgot about that one. Rayquaza or the Sky Pillar. That one, oh, that always sucked. iFOMO, never again. Gibbo Slice, thank you so much for joining in tonight. Glad to see you. I'm late. Thought it started at 10 for some. I switched. I said it on the last live, and I'll just remind everybody from now on as well. It's going to be at 8 o'clock. It sounds like my wife's company found out that wasn't working so well, and because it was too late for the East Coast people, so they're just going to maintain 8 o'clock from now on, which is great. Now I can just lock in. It's 8 o'clock every night, depending on where you're at. You're probably 9 o'clock, so it was my fault. We did switch. I did say it last week during a live that was probably going to be the case, but it is. Now it's going to be 8 o'clock from now on, Gimbo, just so you know. At Northwoods TCG, did you buy any Japanese 151 recently? I got about 72, 73 after shipping and fees, shipped from Japan. Facebook groups have them cheap. Yes, I did purchase some. Probably end of April, beginning of May, right when the reprint was about to happen. One of the places I bought Japanese from, I said this earlier, one of the places that, not a distributor, but a person that I buy Japanese from was selling their stock of it, and I picked up, I only bought 10, I mean, I wasn't doing anything crazy. I bought 10 booster boxes of 151 for $68 a piece, so I was really, really happy with that. I haven't gotten any. I mean, I've gotten some for TikTok, so I got a couple boxes that we've been opening on TikTok. I kind of buy 4 at a time and then just kind of roll them through, along with Mask of Change. I've got a couple of booster boxes of that as well. So we've got, latest set Mask of Change as well. I get from that same supplier. Been really fun on that one as well. But yeah, I did purchase some. Bought about 10 booster boxes of it. I'm happy with that just to see how she rides after this reprint. And if I don't sell them on TikTok and they lose interest, then I'll just put them on my shelf. It's fine. Don't bother me. Yes, thank you, iPhone. Once again, iPhone was going to put up the reminder for the merch, too. So if you'd like to support the channel, something you can do is buy new merch. So we do have this. It's always great. And the Northwoods t-shirt is one of them. Our logo t-shirt. And then, of course, the Gengar made me do a t-shirt. If you hit the link down below, it helps out the channel a little bit. So it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, iPhone, for that link. Jay, let's see. What do you got? Thank you for joining. What do you think about the Crown Zenith Tina? I have the others, just not that. Should I buy or try to crack one out of pack? I'd buy. Personally, I would buy it because it's a really hard pull, number one. Number two, the price is starting to move up. So if you are considering it, I would probably be looking at it because currently, the last time I looked, it was moving up. Crown Zine. I'm a little bit out of tune. It's been busy at work. I haven't been getting home till late, so I haven't had enough time to really diagnose and dig through all of these cards to see how they're still performing this week. By the end of the week, I was going to get caught up here. But if we go to Crown Zenith, why is it all sealed? I don't want sealed. Cards. All right. High to low. Why is it not showing up? Oh, it's not Crown. Hold on. Yeah, you got to go Galarian Gallery. Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery, not the regular one. So, holy cow, Tina really shot up. Wow. Yeah, last week when I looked at it, it was about $80. Now it's $117. So, yeah, that one's gone crazy. So, kind of your call, but I think the amount of packs you would have to open and try and get that, you would still be better value to just buy it than you would be to go and try and pull that particular card. Trying to pull a card by ripping packs is just never a good thing. If you've got a whole wide range of cards, my feelings is when I start opening up a new set, so when I look at a brand new set and I want a bunch of Illustrator rares, a bunch of SIRs, a bunch of alternate arts, a bunch of cards out of that particular set, I don't mind opening packs for a while just to see if I can get it. Typically, I have like a set price of like $200. So my sons and my daughter and I will do like $200, $300 worth of packs. We'll rip them all open and we'll see what's hit, what's not. And then I'll typically just wait and then buy the singles that we wanted that we didn't get over time on those particular cards. Let's see. Tricks and Chaos. Isn't TikTok banned in the United States for supplying user data to CCP? So, yeah, it's not banned yet. They had that law passed where they have to pretty much give up ownership of their Singapore company that they're part of. So there's been no evidence of CCP. That's just been because it's a China-held company, which one of 42 apps that 6 of which the government uses. They're all owned by Chinese companies, which is ridiculous. And that whole thing is just because they can't control TikTok, they want them to sell it to a U.S. company so that they could get TikTok. So basically they have, I believe it's 1 year was the law, to change ownership or sell out or do something in order to keep the TikTok platform. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. I know they're already suing against that First Amendment rights because it's a freedom of speech deal and you're kind of violating it by taking away their power and forcing, and it's also benefiting other companies in the United States like Facebook and Instagram and all these other monopoly or large companies as well. So it's going to be interesting how it plays out over the next year. I already know that there's some suits in place. There's some things already going forward on that. So whether or not it holds up and TikTok gets banned, we'll see. But we got 1 year before we even need to worry about it. So if I can get one more good Black Friday out of it at 6% fees on these things, I'll keep rolling right through it for 1 more year until it gets banned. That's just my feelings on it anyways. I've had nothing but good success on TikTok. I do like the platform. I like the way that they sell. They're very, very good for the customer. There's a lot of protections in place. And TikTok does their best to be sure that it's a really good and safe field for everybody that's involved. That's just my feelings anyways. I'm sure some people, there's always somebody that's got a horror story of any application. But in general, on the backside, they really are set for customer usage, which is what I enjoy. But no, the CCP thing, it's just weird. It's because of control. If you actually look at why they're doing it, it's because TikTok doesn't censor certain content. They aren't owned by a United States company. They're owned by a Singaporean company, which has no ties to the CCP. And that Singaporean company already says they're individual servers and they don't really talk to each other. They're individual operations. And the biggest thing is that TikTok doesn't conform to the rules. Like Facebook will ban certain things that can't be said or put all the titles on it that this must be misleading. They won't do that, and that's why this whole thing came about. So yeah, anyways, since we're all the way down to the bottom of the list, like I said, thank you guys. I know it's a little bit early on this live, and from now on it will be at 8 o'clock, so 8 p.m. Central Time from here on out, just because that's what my wife's company did. So other than that, we're just going to kind of call it a night. I see it's really kind of quiet tonight, which might be part of that reasoning as well. But overall, just keep in mind, Pokemon investing is not always sunshines and rainbows. Just remember that things could change. There could be pitfalls, there could be changes in economy, and there could be changes in eras. I mean, when you sit there and listen to Cool Trainer Ryan say that XY is reminiscent of, or Scarlet and Violet is reminiscent of XY, it really starts to make you think about it. And like I said, my overactive brain started thinking about it. I started looking at data. I started going through things and looking at it. And I could see where his feelings are on that particular statement. I could definitely see where that statement's coming from. Now, whether or not that's going to, actually pan out, it's still too early to tell for Scarlet and Violet. But we'll know within the next couple of years if we are following that same trend. So overall, guys, like I said, thank you everybody for joining. I see there's 20 people out there, so be sure you guys hit that like button before you leave. It's greatly appreciated as well. Hit that like button. It helps out a ton. Other than that, if you do like this kind of content, make sure you guys check us out on Friday. We will be sitting here bringing out a new video on Friday talking about things in the Pokemon TCG. And last but not least, if you do want to support the channel and help out, check out the merch. We do have different merches, such as this one right here. It's always great in the Northwoods for you. Or you can go ahead and check out the Gengar Made Me Do It t-shirt, along with just the standard logo, whichever one you enjoy. Other than that, thank you everybody for joining in tonight. Last but not least, we'll see you next time here on Northwoods TCG.